Good morning to all. Good morning to all. I wholeheartedly welcome you for the next session, jointly organized by Institution, Innovation Council, VNSGU Incubation Center and Department of Biotechnology. The seminar chief guest is Dr. Jaydip Chaudhari. He is faculty in Veer, South Gujarat University, and he belongs to the Department of Business and Industrial Management. He is in charge registrar also. He is associated with the Department of Biotechnology under the Entrepreneurship Capacity Building Cell. He is a member of Entrepreneurship Capacity Building Cell. He holds his degree in Electronics and MBA. He is an alumnus of Veer, South Gujarat University as well, and IIM Ahmedabad. He has a 25 years experience in academics and 2 years experience in industrial background also. His area of interest are communication technology, entrepreneurship, small business management, strategic management. He has guided 17 students under PhD with interesting topics like financial literacy and inclusion rural area, women entrepreneurship capacity in the city, investment patterns of academics. These are all the interesting areas. 5 different students have gone for MPhil under him. For the PhD areas like information technology, energy management, sugar industry, a comparative study of financial inclusion in India and China, a study of stress management practices among working women in Surat city. These are the few papers I am just listing which are very interesting topics from his study area. I welcome you, sir, in the Department of Biotechnology, and I request Dr. Gaurav Shah, coordinator of our department, to welcome sir. सर को सिर्फ हैंड ओवर कर दो, वो बुक भी देना है।
Students and those who are already pursuing their, you can say, 5th semester or 9th semester of biotechnology. So what I have planned, I'm just trying to give you the overall picture of the business model. Basically, the topic given to me, business model canvas, it is for these top management, those who are involved in the strategic decision making, where they are talking about in terms of the sustaining and developing and expanding their businesses. So basically that deals with the strategic management, that being, say for you and most of the students, maybe they are in their process. So I am just giving you the broader picture so that if you are planning to start your own business today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow and in future, you require this kind of tool. This is basically a strategic tool to make decision. Now what I have planned, so I will just try to explain you what do you mean by business. But everybody knows and must have heard about business every now and then. But what exactly is the business? How do you define? How do you explain? So we'll discuss something about the business. What is business? Then the second term is business model. So what do you mean by business model? Now we have number of companies, number of industries, number of sectors. The same industry, the same sector, there are number of companies. So how do they operate? Another important thing is, if you talk about any industry, whether it is automobile or any pharmaceutical or any bank, as you all know, there are certain companies or one company which is on the top. Maybe there are certain companies which are on the top 5. Right? There are many companies, they are able to just survive. And in the same environment, there are many companies or the firms, they are struggling to survive, even though they are operating in the same environment. Like say for example in India, when we talk about economic environment, ecological environment, political environment, social environment, everything is same. Then why is it so that one company is doing very well, able to reach to top and able to sustain the position for over a period of time, while there are many companies that are struggling? Why is it so? Say for example, this is just to give you some broader picture. If you take an example of automobile sector, everybody knows in four-wheeler Maruti is number one, right? Having say for a more than 46-47% of market share. And there are more than 25 companies in automobile which are operating in India, right? And Maruti was able to sustain since 80s, right from the day one, the Maruti is able to maintain that number one position. On the other hand, there are companies like you might have heard about General Motors, then Ford. So they also entered in Indian market maybe almost 20-25 years back. But what happened to them? Maybe those who are reading newspaper, those who are interested. So these two companies which are known as Ford and General Motor companies, these are the giant companies of America. Right. Now they could not survive in Indian market. So after 20-25 years operating in India, they exited India. They stopped their business in India. Why is it so? On the other hand, if you take an example of Kia Motors, which recently introduced, or even the MG Hector, MG, there are, say for example, new players in the market, last 2-3 years or the 5 years at the most, but they are able to survive and sustain and they are able to grow. So when you talk about Indian market, it is same. So why is it so? That is because of the kind of the business model they are operating. They are making different choices, they are making different decisions. So that makes the difference. So today we discuss about different type of model where why certain companies are successful, other companies are not able to sustain their positions and so on. So how does it make a difference? And then ultimately we discuss about business model canvas, what exactly it means, right? And then if time permits, we'll discuss about, because when we talk about business, so why one should enter into that kind of business, or why one should decide to start his or her own business, or why form of the companies they enter into business. That is also important because all these things comes later. The first thing is the choice of a decision to enter into market or to start business. So what make them enter into that kind of business? And again the next question is, once you decide your mind to enter into business or start your own business, the most important question is what sector, what industry, what business, because that is also one of the important decisions. And then we will have a question and answer. So this is how I have planned. So this is just to give you overall picture. Now as you are aware, so tell me, what do you mean by business? What do you understand by business? What is business? ગુજરાતી માં આપણે એને કોઈ કે ધંધો કરીએ છીએ કે ધંધો કરે છે તો શું હોય એમાં? What does it mean? Any idea? You must have heard all these words, business. બધાને જ ખબર છે, રોજે રોજ સાંભળતા જ હશો. So what exactly it is?
A kind of exchange process, we can say.
Exchange of production services. Okay, fine. Okay, any other thing? Okay. So if you look at the literature, and there are number of people, the number of authors, or you can say the management people, they have given number of definitions over a period of time. So we'll not go into that particular all definitions, but this is, I will just discuss some of these definitions or the explanation given by number of people. So that will ultimately make you more clear about what do you mean by business. Because unless and until you clear about what is the business, what kind of activities you are involved in, right, then ultimately will help you to make your decision. So what is business? So business is an economic activity that involves exchange, purchase, sale or production of goods and services with motives to earn profit. Now what do you mean by economic activities? Where there are money involved. In a simple term, wherever the money is involved, then it is known as economic activities. Then not necessarily that you sell product or services. An ultimate objective is what? To earn profit. Why do people start business? To earn profit. Okay. How do you do this? Okay. So on one hand you will have to provide goods and services. Then again you will have to decide, because for providing the goods and services to your customer, then what you require to undertake number of activities. Maybe it's a product, then manufacturing activities, machinery, plant, technology, raw material, manpower and so on. For each of these resource you require investment or that incur cost. So we'll have to perform all these activities in such a way so that you are able to offer product and services to your customer at an affordable rate. So that what we call, that is a price. Maybe you provide excellent product and services, but the price is excessive. Then I think nobody would be ready to buy that product, or nobody could buy that particular product. So what you will have to do? You will have to offer that particular product and services at a affordable price, even at comparable with your competitors, or at least less than your competitors. If you are not able to do that, then nobody would buy your product. So here you will have to ensure that your product or the service is available at an affordable rate. Another important thing is they satisfy the needs of customer. Now there are a number of, you can come out with some kind of excellent idea, creative idea, innovative idea, unique product, fine. But if it does not fulfill the needs or the requirement of the customer, it's of no use. So first of all, you will have to identify what are the wants or needs or the requirement, and accordingly you will have to design and develop your product. Then and then your product is acceptable in the market. If it is not acceptable, then whatever investment you have made, it's of no use. So another important thing is, when you talk about business, the business can be both profit or non-profit organizations that function to gain profit or achieve a social cause respectively. See, when you talk about small players or the private players or the companies, basically their prime objective or the motive is to what? To earn profit by providing or by selling products and goods. Not necessarily that only the private companies or the individual, they are involved in business. Even the government, they are also involved in the business. Because if you look at the definition of the business, they are involved in various economic activities. So the government, either it is state government or the central government or local government like Surat municipal corporations also, they are into business. Because they also provide some products and services. In most of the cases they offer services. Like maybe you are aware of what is known as PSU, public sector undertakings. These PSUs, public sector undertakings, are what? They're owned, managed and run by the government. But their prime objective is not to make profit. Today in India we have thousands of PSUs owned by either state government or the central government. But the objective is to what? To provide product and services to the citizen of India. And their objective is not to earn the profit. Even in that case, if they are incurring losses, so all those basic infrastructure facilities the government is providing. So their ultimate objective is not to earn the profit, but to provide the facilities and services to citizens. Similarly, there are NGOs, all of you are aware that non-government organizations, right? So they do provide all these services or the products, but objective is not to earn the profit. So when you talk about business, it is not necessarily every time it is meant for the profit. Okay, so this is the broader concept. Another important thing is business is defined as an organized economic activities. Economic activity is fine, but it is not in terms of FSI manner. It is organized, wherein exchange of goods and services takes place for adequate consideration. If we take an example of manufacturing organizations, which manufacture, say for example, let us take an example of ceiling fan, or for example the multimedia projector. Maybe there may be more than 15, 20, 25 different parts and components required to manufacture or assemble ceiling fan or the multimedia projector. Not necessarily the company manufacture each and every component. Maybe they are procuring some raw materials, parts, component assemblies from the various suppliers. So why do that particular supplier supply to you? Maybe there are a number of other companies. Unless and until you offer some kind of reasonable price, then and then they will sell to you, because they are also into business. Right. So that is what is meant by adequate consideration. Not only that, even if you talk about manpower as individual, human resource, why should one work in a particular company? In return of what? The salary. If some other companies offer better salary, the employee leaves the organization and joins some other companies. So that is what is known as economic adequate considerations. So when you talk about business, these are some of the complexities. So we will have to strike a balance among the various players. Now who are those players? We'll discuss also. Another important thing is, these are another definition, is the organized efforts of individuals or a group of individuals to produce and sell for a profit the goods and services that satisfy society's need. So you cannot make anything which does not serve the purpose or satisfy the needs or the requirement of the customer. Otherwise, maybe you have excellent product and services, but nobody would buy your product. Okay, there would not be any market. If there is no market, if nobody buy your products, you will not generate the revenue. You will not get the money. If you are not able to get the money, what happens? You will not be able to pay salary to your employees. You will not be able to pay the, various expenses. You will not be able to pay to your suppliers and other players. If you don't do this, they will stop supplying to raw material. People will leave your organization and join some other organization. Without people, you will not work. So ultimately, you will have to shut down your business. So this is what this is something complex, and you will have to strike the balance about the various players, stakeholders involved in your business. That is why this kind of consideration is required in terms of what kind of business model or what business model canvas we are talking about. Right. Another important thing is exchange of goods, services, money for mutual benefit. Now, there are many players. How many players or the stakeholders are there when you talk about a business? Or you have the suppliers. Maybe there are different suppliers, 10 different products, maybe 10 different suppliers. There are machineries or the technology providers. There are financial institutions which provide you loans and other things. There are customers that will buy your products and services. There are suppliers, or you can say intermediaries, those who are distributors, the sellers which sell your product and services. There are people, those who provide, the initial investment. Those who are known as promoters or the shareholders. Then you have even the government. The government is also one of the important stakeholders, because government provides all those facilities, infrastructure facilities, services, and in turn it charges some kind of money in terms of taxes. So if you look at about even a small business, maybe there are different stakeholders. And if you look at this complexity, each stakeholder has different requirements. Their expectations are different. Even the manpower, the human resource. The supplier wants more for its price of their raw materials and components. Employee requires more salaries. When you talk about intermediaries, those who are selling your products, maybe they require more commissions, more charges. The bank and financial institutions which provide your term loans, or you can say loan, maybe they want to earn more by charging higher interest rate. Right. As a company, as a firm, you want to earn more profit. So everybody wants a bigger share. And on the other hand, when you talk about the customer, what does customer want? It wants product and services at the maximum. How much price they would like to pay? They want to pay as less as possible. So if you look at this kind of a scenario where the players which are there in the business, in the various activities, everybody wants a bigger share. And if you want to fulfill or satisfy all the requirements, maybe your cost of product or service will go up. And to match that cost, you will have to charge higher price to your customer. And the customer is not ready to pay higher charges, because there are players, other competitors, maybe they are offering at the low price. So this is how you will have to strike a balance. Another important thing is when you talk about these stakeholders, if you don't pay higher salary, the employee will join other companies, or maybe the raw material supplier or the channel partners, they want higher commission. So they will not sell your product because you are not giving that much. So here as a firm, we have to strike a balance. So that is where we involve this kind of, so all these things we have to think in advance as a strategic. So that is why here we will think about what kind of business model you are going to. So because it is focusing more on mutual benefit. So in management we talk about, we'll have to ultimately create what is known as win-win situation. Everybody is happy. There are 10 players, 15 players. If you talk about any manufacturing unit, it is very difficult to strike a balance between or among all those players. I'll give you the extreme example. Okay. Let us take an example of automobile. I think everybody is aware of Maruti, Alto, or say for example Swift. Do you know how many parts and components are required to manufacturing that particular Alto or Swift on an average? Any idea? More than 2,500 to 3,000 parts and components. And obviously, the Maruti Suzuki does not manufacture each and everything or all more than, say for example, 3,000 components in-house. So there are channel partners. There are more than 900 different suppliers, vendors. Now you can just imagine, out of this all those vendors, even one component is not available. What happens in that case? If you are not able to fulfill his or her requirement, and if the supplier stops supplying that particular part, what happens? Like I think many of you are aware what happened in terms of COVID. Because all these automobiles, now they are having that kind of, the smart automobile, they require what is known as IC, chip. And because of COVID, and the Taiwan is the largest supplier of this kind of chip, which are used in different electronics products. But because of COVID situation, that disturbed the supply chain, and that ultimately affect the delivery of or the manufacturing of all those automobiles. So this is one example. So here you will have to strike a balance. So that is why one need to understand what business you are in, what industry you are in, what are the various players, how does it affect, and accordingly we'll have to take a decision. So finally, ultimately we'll have to adhere to the norms of income tax. So what Income Tax Act says, a business means any trade, commerce or manufacture or any adventure in the nature of trade, commerce or manufacture. So we'll not go into this kind of technicalities, but this is just give you the what do you mean by business. Right. Then comes the business model. So what do you mean by business model? You must have heard about business model. Right. Everybody is aware of Ola, Uber, even the Swiggy you are aware. So tell me what kind of model, what kind of business they are into, what kind of activities they perform. Basically the model is what kind of activities, how do you perform various activities. As I told you in terms of manufacturing, what kind of activities they do, how do they perform, that is more important. Because if it is automobile manufacture, maybe they have to manufacture parts and components. If all these companies do it at par, then everybody would be at the par. There is no number 1, number 2, number 3. But in reality it is not the case. So what makes them different? What kind of activities they do differently or the different activities. So that is why they are able to remain on the top. So basically in a simple term, it is a description of how business runs. How do you carry out various operations, various activities? How do you manage the relationship with your suppliers or you can say stakeholders? How do you fulfill their requirements and needs? See, another important thing is why it is important. Because whatever model you are talking about, whatever activities you perform, it does not remain same over a period of time. Earlier the situation was different. Maybe you can have the same kind of product and services over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it was possible. But because every day something new is happening, new technology, new companies, new services, so if you want to remain in the business, you will have to keep on updating yourself. Even the customers are also becoming very demanding and their preferences are changing over a period of time. So here we will have to make that kind of, you can say, the fine tuning of your business activities. So when you talk about business model, it is not, you can say, static in nature. It is, you will have to be dynamic. You will have to fine tune small activities here and there so that you remain. I give one example. I think many of you must have seen Ambassador car, the Fiat Ambassador. That was one of the oldest cars before independence. Okay, so if you look at 1940 or the 50 Ambassador and even 1990 or 2000 model, you will not find any change or the modification in terms of, you can say, the specification, design, etc. And that is why today it does not exist. Right? Because of the changing environment, changing nature, choices and preferences, you will have to make that kind of modification so that you become relevant. On the other hand, when you talk about these companies, as I give the example of Maruti Suzuki. So Maruti Suzuki is number one and to sustain its position over a number of decades. I'll give a simple question, ask you a simple question. If you want to buy a Maruti Suzuki car and you don't have, say for example, the constraint on terms of budget, do you know how many options you have? I am not talking about models. There are various models, right? From the Alto, you can have Ciaz or you can say Grand Vitara. Maybe there are even 13, 14, 15 different models. Even in this model you have different versions. You have petrol and diesel. Even in diesel you have different options. Kind of. Even in that you have options manual and automatic. So combining all those things, you just tell me how many options do you have? Any rough idea? Before 2 years it was around more than 1600. Only in Maruti Suzuki car you have different options, more than 1600 options. And there are more than 25 companies operating in India. And still then, every few months they are coming out different model, different version kind of thing. If you do not do this, maybe tomorrow will be out of the market. So the kind of model that you require. So this is one example. Another example I will give you, many of you are aware of Bajaj scooter. Okay. So in 1980s, do you know what was the situation in Bajaj scooter? The cost was around 6,000 rupees. And तुम्हारे एडवांस बुकिंग करावो पड़े. And do you know what was the waiting period? Can you imagine? 13 years. Bajaj scooter in 1980s. You pay in advance 6,000 rupees and you will have to wait for 13 years. That was the waiting period. 13 varas. Can you imagine this kind of scenario today? No. In that case, because today you have number of options available. Earlier that was not option. And once the chairman of that Bajaj, Rahul Bajaj, at that point of time he told, we don't have marketing department because we don't need marketing department. If you think of any company does not have any marketing department. Today, because earlier the situation was it was a seller's market. Because the number of sellers was less and the buyers were more. We did not have any choice at that point of time. But today, you cannot continue the similar kind of model or activities. Even the Bajaj has to change. Right. So when you talk about business model, the way in which you perform various activities or in which business is run. So over a period of time, you'll have to change it over a period of time. And say for example, I think everybody is aware of Nokia, which is a signal-based company and was able to sustain or remain on the top for a number of decades. But what happened later on? Nokia did not survive, lost its positions, even the market, only because of one decision. Right. So the point is, you will have to keep on changing. So when you talk about business model, I am talking about in terms of how we are running the business, and you will have to fine tune it. Okay. So basically, what you try to do here, you try to answer these questions. Who is your customer? Now that is one of the most important aspects. Because unless and until you identify your target customer, you will not be able to know what is his or her requirement. What do they require? What they require, then how much they are ready to pay, what features or the specification they require, everything that you need. So you will have to very specifically identify who was customer. What does the customer value? Now here another important thing is what is known as, in management term, what is known as value proposition. How much value do you offer to a customer? How much the customer value to your product or the services? It is not in terms of the price. Now everybody is aware of Apple smartphone. Okay. How much does this cost? Maybe 40, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. Isn't it? Now if you look at the kind of features and the specifications and the performance, even the Samsung or some other companies, Infinix or other companies, maybe they are at par in terms of other specification, criteria and performance which is available at say 15,000, 20,000 of rupees. Then why do people pay 40,000, 60,000, 70,000 premium amount? And they are ready to pay. This is what is known as value propositions. The customer value that particular product, maybe in terms of the brand, maybe in terms of I am having Apple, they have created that kind of brand image and that is how they value more and they are ready to pay even higher prices or what is known as premium prices. So that we have to identify. So it is not that people want only cheaper product or you can say the lesser price compared to competitors. You can charge premium prices or the more price provided you offer something different, something unique to customer and they are ready to pay. So here you will have identify, even ultimately you will have identify your customer, right? How does a company make in the business money? There is also a very important thing because when our business model, ultimately everything is narrowed down to what? What is the objective? Profit. So whatever product or the services you sell, ultimately you should generate certain revenues and you meet your expenses and your surplus amount. So how you are going to generate the money? So revenue model is equally important. We'll discuss later on various revenue models. How companies are, maybe they are in the same industry, same sector, selling similar product, but the way in which they are making money is different models. So here also you will have to identify how you are going to generate money. Like say for example Google search engine. What Google does? Do you pay anything for using these services? No. You don't pay anything in terms of using that search engine or using Gmail even for matter. Then how does Google generate money? They charges for advertisement and there are other source of kind of thing. On the other hand, maybe they are also charging, there are premium services. For even Gmail also they are charging prices for corporate and other companies, the commercial activities. So this is how they generate the money. So here also we will have to identify and decide how you are going to earn money. Because unless and until you earn the money, it's of no use. And why it is equally important? Generating money is most important aspect. And again at the regular interval, as and when it is required, you should have money. Like, for example, are you all aware of Kingfisher Airlines? Or even the recent example is Jet Airways. Okay. So in most of the cases, in both the cases, what went wrong? They have the huge resources in terms of assets, building, you can say plan, everything. But they could not manage what is known as that revenue stream, the cash flow. Because you need cash to meet your short-term obligations. Short-term obligations in the sense, every month you will have to pay salary to your employee. We will have to pay, say for example, fuel charges to different companies or other suppliers or the food suppliers, etc. We will have to pay money to them. Right. So if you are not generating enough cash, so we will not be able to fulfill that short-term obligations. You cannot say your employee, instead of this salary of these 2 months or the 3 months, maybe you will get 3-4 tickets free of cost. Isn't it? So you need cash. You need cash to make payment to your financial institution from whom you have borrowed money. You will have to pay EMI regularly. So that is why managing the cash is most important. Even though you have assets, you cannot just say, "आप plan ले जाओ, पैसा नहीं है किया है." It's of no use. So generating money. So these are the big companies, and there are hundreds of examples. There are big companies, number of decades old, century old company, only because they are not able to manage the cash, they failed. They could not survive. So even if a small business, that is equally important. So this is also equally important, how you are generating your cash, how you are going to make money. Another important thing is how a firm can deliver value to customer at an appropriate cost. As I told you, maybe you have unique product, excellent product, innovative product, and you charge, say for example, 1 lakh of rupees or 2 lakh of rupees. It doesn't make any sense, because they don't need this kind of feature or the services, or they are not ready to pay even 1 lakh or 2 lakh of rupees. So we will have to pay at an affordable rate. Right. That you will have to strike a balance between the cost and the price. So as I told you, business model is a strategic plan of how a company will make money. It also talks about the way a business will take its products, offer it to the market and drive sales. Like in terms of today, because of information and communication technology, there are certain companies which follow what is known as traditional way of selling their products. You have manufacturer, you have sole distributor, you have wholesaler, retailer, and ultimately it reaches to end user. Or on the other hand, there are companies which sell direct to the customer. They don't need this kind of intermediaries. Right. So this is also another way. Not only that, but who would be your customer? Which makes sense. Now again, if we take an example of, let us take an example automobile only, because everybody is aware, four-wheeler. Even you have Maruti for example, or there are many companies, they are having product in different segments. Right from Alto, which is costing, say for example 2.5 lakh, to maybe you have Grand Vitara costing 15-20 lakh of rupees, or recently launched Invicto, which is costing 30 lakh of rupees. So you have products in terms of up to 5 lakh of rupees, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20 kind of thing. So there are different categories of customer, different segments. You have hatchback car, you have sedan car, you have SUV kind of thing, you have MPV car. So there are different categories. So now that we have to offer to different segments. Now those who are looking for SUV, you cannot offer them, say for example, this Alto car. There is a mismatch. So here also we will have to see the product and services and your market. So we will have to create that kind of fit between product, services and the market. Another thing is in terms of the cost. So basically when you talk about business model, you identify various activities, what actually and how you are going to perform, you describe all those things. I think you are aware of what is known as jigsaw puzzle. Are you all aware of puzzle? There are different blocks. So what we will have to do, we will have to arrange those particular blocks in a specific order, fixed order only. And then you will get the true picture or the right picture. If you miss out on that particular block, maybe you misplace or place another block in another different place, you will not get the right picture or the true picture. Similarly in this case, in case of business model, and if you want to remain relevant and successful, if you want to remain in the business, what you need, if you want to be successful, you will have to ensure that everything is in place, just like your jigsaw puzzle. All those blocks should fit into that kind of the right place, then and then you will be able to sustain, survive and can become successful in the market. So that is why, and business model will help you identify what are the various activities you do. And now when you talk about all those things, it is not in terms of isolation. Isolation in the sense, as a company I will do this thing, this is the way in which I will do it. This will not be okay. What you will have to do? You also have to look about, take into account who are your competitors. What kind of activities they are involved in? How do they perform their activities? How do they generate money? What kind of distribution channel they use? So you also have to identify who are your competitors and how do the business. Otherwise what happens? You do the similar kind of thing, same thing. So as a customer, it doesn't make any difference whether I buy from product company A or the company B. So if you don't carry out this kind of analysis of customer or the competitors, what they are doing, how they are doing, so as a company, what you will have to do? You will have to offer something different or extra, or maybe the similar product or the same service, similar features, specification, criteria, performance at the lower price. Then and then customer will buy your product or the services. Otherwise for me it doesn't make any difference whether I buy from company A or company B or the company C. So as a company it would be very difficult for you to survive and sustain. So when you talk about identifying and different activities, you must carry out this kind of analysis also. You cannot carry out business model exercise keeping only in terms of focusing only on your strength and weaknesses kind of thing. So a business model is high level plan for profitably operating a business in a specific marketplace. The same product in a particular target customer. You cannot offer the same product in a different market segment. Right. For different segment, as I told you, you will have to offer different products, different services, different specifications, different criteria. Maybe you can charge differential prices also. But you will have to be very specific. Right. So as we discussed about, the primary component of business model is the value proposition. What differently whether we are going to offer that the value proposition or if you don't offer any would buy your product. Right. So what exactly you are going to offer? For example, even McDonald's or maybe the chains. Okay. There is a fast food chains. So how they offer what is pizza? Different flavor, different size or different, but the basic is the same. So whether it is X burger or some other companies, so they came out with some other concept, you can say in 30-minute delivery kind of thing. Right. So this is how they are going to differentiate that product, will be able to deliver in 30 minutes. Similarly, as you all are aware, in terms of online shopping, I think everybody is aware of online shopping. Okay, and there are many companies which are selling online. But the biggest challenge, the biggest problem all these companies are facing is what? All the online companies. The biggest problem or the challenge they face is what? What is known as last mile connectivity. So that is delivered to your doorstep. So how do you manage that supply chain? How do you identify the channel partners? Or maybe there are courier companies. Then they offer similar kind of services, same services to everybody. So in that case, as a customer, it doesn't make any difference for me whether I choose one company, A company, B company, or C company. Now what these companies are doing? Now how do they offer some kind of differentiating value propositions? Maybe if you are in certain metro cities or the certain cities, maybe you will deliver in the same day, maybe within 12 hours. If you are in certain metro cities, maybe will be delivered within 4 or 5 hours. In certain geographic areas, we deliver in 2 hours. So earlier they used to deliver in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Now we are talking in terms of hours. So this is how that try to add certain values. And this is differentiate. And this is maybe there are courier companies. The model is almost similar, same. Then how to differentiate? How do you offer value proposition? How fast you are able to deliver the product or the service. So this is what is known as value proposition, right? So that you have to identify. So in business model you will have to do it. So there are number of business models. The most common type, as everybody is aware, there are manufacturers, there are retailers. Now there are manufacturers, they manufacture various parts, components, equipment, machineries, etc. And not necessarily those who are manufacturers, they are selling to the users. What they do? There are intermediaries which are known as channel partners, or what is known as distribution channel, as I told you. You have the sole distributor, you have the wholesaler, retailer, and ultimately it reaches to end user. And the retailer will directly come into contact with the end user. Right. So these are different models, and there are a number of models. You can classify in different categories. I have discussed some of them just to give you some idea. Okay. See, another important thing when we talk about this model, manufacturer and retailer. You know, Surat is a textile hub, textile industries hub. Okay. And there are, you can say, more than 45,000 different units operating in Surat, and maybe there are more than 350 dyeing and printing houses. Maybe you are aware of different brands of Surat textile industries. Do you know who owns these particular brands? Majority of these brands are owned by traders. They are intermediaries. There are manufacturers. There are processors. But the brands are owned by intermediate, they are traders. They are not into manufacturing, they are not into retailing. There are intermediaries. They own the brand. Because the manufacturers do not know who are their customers. Because they are not in touch of that customer. They are busy only in terms of manufacturing. These are the people who are in direct contact with the customer. They know what trend is going on, what are their expectations, and accordingly they ask the manufacturer to design and manufacture the products or the fabrics in terms of prints, in terms of, you can say, the quality of the technical terms. So they ask manufacturer, I want this kind of, this many quantity, and they own the brands. So now in these cases, the traders dictate the terms to the manufacturer. Right. So this is the scenario. Now retailers buy goods, later resell to public. Like, as you all know, Target or the Walmart and other things, they are the biggest retailers. So they do not manufacture a single product. Okay. If you take an example of Walmart, I think many of you must have heard about Walmart. One of the biggest retail chain in the world, Walmart. And whatever available on the earth, almost 85% of the items are available here. So you can just imagine the kind of volume and the kind of, you can say, the size. So, but they do not manufacture, all these stores, they do not manufacture a single product. What they do, they identify various suppliers, manufacturers, from there they procure it and they sell it to retailer. Or right. So we'll discuss some of these models like bundling. Let us take an example of those pizzas or McDonald's, Maggie, say for example. What they do? They offer burger, you can say French fries with a cold drink, Coca-Cola flavor. So that is known as bundling. This is how they offer. Even in case of Apple iPod, maybe you will have or you can say the access to iTunes. Bundling kind of thing. So similar kind of thing, then identify number of examples. These are different models. So here in case of McDonald's or some other company, that is the cold drink manufacturer or the supplier, Pepsi, Coca-Cola or any other things. Right. And this is how they generate. Crowdsourcing. All the social media, like say for example, they contribute content for free in exchange for access to other people's content. Now YouTube is available free. If you want a premium version, maybe you will have to pay. But for the common purpose, it is available. And what do you get? You get content created by some other people. Similarly, you can also upload your own content on YouTube and it will be available, made available to the other people on the net. Right. So this is also available. Disintermediation, like Dell. Disintermediation in the sense direct to your customer. You don't need that kind of distribution channel, retailer, the wholesaler, distributor kind of thing. So what is something unique about Dell? This is a computer manufacturing company. Unique that is offering. It is not only in terms of because it is available online, it is available direct to customer. There are many players that offer direct to customer. What is something unique about Dell computer? How does it create value? How is it different from the other players? Right. So if you go to Dell website, now if you want to buy a computer, desktop or you can say laptop, and if you visit any store, what you will get? You will get ready-made configuration of your computer in terms of RAM, in terms of screen size, in terms of hard disk and so on. So you will get a ready-made configuration. Now if you are looking for a computer having higher RAM, or some other graphics card or some bigger screen that is not available in a ready-made configuration. You need it for a specific purpose. So what you can do, you can go to Dell website, computers, where you can select your own, you can design or configure your own computer in terms of RAM size, in terms of graphics card, in terms of you can say the screen, in terms of hard disk, even in terms of the screen, maybe in terms of LED, different companies, different size and so on. So what you can do? You can customize your computer, which is a tailor-made, exactly as per your requirement. So this is the kind of is offered by the Dell, where you will get the customized product, tailor-made product. And obviously, because it is available as per my specification, my requirement, then I will be ready to pay some extra price also. But it is available at affordable price. And there are many companies that are doing it. Similarly, 1mg, Tata's initiative. Right. So maybe you will get your medicine delivered to your doorstep. You don't have to visit to, say for example, a medical store and so on. So in that case, they are direct to customer. So there is no intermediary. Now when you talk about no intermediary, it is not as simple as that. There is a huge impact. What is that impact of the difference they are making? So if you look at the traditional distribution channel, we have manufacturer or the wholesaler, retailer, sole distributor. Now what happens in each stage? From manufacturer to sole distributor, the product is moved from one place to another place. The sole distributor have their own warehouse. So what they do? Company has to pay certain commission because there is a storage charge, there is an operating charge, and then it will go to wholesaler, and then there is a commission is added. Wholesaler will add its own commission. Ultimately, it reaches to retailer. So if the price of the product is 100 rupees, as you can say the manufacturer level, but when it comes to retailer, it becomes 130 or 35 or 40, because during each stage you require to pay cost, or you can say the commission for the distributor. So 100 rupee product becomes 130 or 40. If you eliminate these intermediaries, so you don't have to pay any commission to intermediaries, so 100 rupee product may be available at 110 rupees or 100 rupees itself. So this is why if you buy online products and services, that is why they are able to offer certain discounts. Because in that case, in that particular route, the company are saving in terms of this commission, other storage, inventory charges and other things. This is how they are able to add values. The product is available at the lesser price, discounted price, compared to which are available in the open market or some other players. This is a different model. That is the combination of free and premium. The basic services are available free of cost, as I talked about even the Gmail, or you can say your Dropbox facilities. Up to certain limit it is available free of cost. But you need more space for some other services, you will have to pay certain premium charges. So LinkedIn, IPs, Spotify, even the Zoom, I think everybody is aware. So, this is known as freemium model. So this is how they generate money. Okay. Lower prices by decreasing services. These are certain unique examples that we'll have to see what happens in case of Walmart. If you look at the Walmart, what we call punchline or the slogan of Walmart, what does it say? Do you have any idea? Anybody? Just like a big bazaar, there was sabse acha, sabse sasta kind of thing. So there is a tagline kind of thing. So Walmart, what is the tagline of the Walmart? It says everyday low price. Everyday low price. And when we talk about Walmart, it's just like our retail chain. There are many big players. It's not only company. But still the Walmart says everyday low price. Now, as earlier we discussed about, Walmart doesn't manufacture a single product. There are suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, they source it from all those players and they sell it to the end users. But still Walmart is able to offer at the lowest possible cost. And in many cases, almost all cases, even the competitors, they are also buying from the same player, the manufacturer, same company, everything. But in that store, the same product is available at the higher price, while Walmart is able to offer the lower price. Walmart is able to add values. Okay. Why is it so? Only because the Walmart is able to manage the supply chain more efficiently compared to their competitors. That is why their operating cost is minimum, and that is why that saving is transferred to the customer by offering the discounted price. Okay. Have you heard of IKEA? There is a furniture showroom. Now, if you want a furniture, there are ready-made furniture available. You sofa set, etc. Okay, you go there and select it. Maybe you require different fabric, etc. Maybe that will be done and will be delivered to your doorstep. Kind of thing. Okay. What idea decreases? What is offer? It offers components. If you want to into the office table, maybe you have a top and there are 4 legs available. So what you will do, you have to assemble your own. You can carry it easily. You can disassemble also whenever you want to carry it to some other locations. And the same leg can be used for your dining table. So that is something unique about the IKEA. So they have their own design because they design a modular furniture. By designing this modular furniture, the various parts or the components, thereby they are able to lower the overall cost. Even that requires a lower, even you don't require a special vehicle to carry that furniture. Right. So thereby you are able to lower down the cost. So this is a different model. If you look at all the online shopping, but most of these companies, most of them they offer and the product is delivered after 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, depending on the situation. So they get it. Also the there are other models which are subscription based. Amazon, Netflix, or the Prime Video, Microsoft 365, where you use those services. This is how the what you offer. You allow them to use your logo is done by the company, but those who get the franchisee, they bear all this cost of setting up, etc. What is the advantage company is having? They don't have to invest much in terms of setup, manufacturing setup, and in return they get some kind of royalty. The advantage in terms of franchisee model is what? You can expand like anything. You can have inorganic growth. In the same day, maybe you can open 50 or 100 stores, different location all over the world. Because the company does not have to invest on. If you want to set up your own store, you buy the property in different locations, set up cost, and everything will be used. A different model. So both the cases we can say pros and cons, but will not go into detail. Then peer to peer. This is also another model. I think everybody is aware of Uber and Ola or Airbnb. Airbnb doesn't. The from both the parties. skills and you are maybe Amway you are aware, maybe some of multi-level marketing or network marketing kind of thing. So that is also another model. Agent so what Amazon does, aggregator, if you want to sell a product to the small supplier or the manufacturer operating in Surat or the South Gujarat. So being a small player, you have similarly in terms of India marts. Kind of thing. Because while in case of Amazon, maybe that India only business to business only. So they get registered as a company only. Okay. Similarly, we already discussed about low cost. For example, in India, in terms of airline, that is also known as low cost airline. DMart, iPad also, we have already discussed Amazon also. Now, when we talk about Indigo, airline service, how they are able to offer the services at the lower cost. So in that case, what they do not offer standard services, and that is decreasing the cost of operations. So and that saving is transferred to the end user, and that is also what is the advantage when you talk about you don't require even the again they are targeting to a specific we have recently joined the company that's their family. So they are targeting all those people, and because of the nature of their job, they have to move here and there frequently. So if you have that kind of fixed furniture, because it is modular, it is easy to carry. And now these young generation, they don't believe in durability. There is another trend is happening. Your parents or the grandparents, maybe they believe in terms of durability. They use, you can say, teakwood furniture, sagno furniture which lasts long 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. एक बार पॉलिश कराओ એટલે પાછું નવું થઈ જાય. So they don't want to change very frequently. But the younger generation, they want different thing. They want change. So maybe 3, 4, 5 years they want to change their furniture. So IKEA is targeting those customers, they don't want durable furniture. They require new furniture, different design. So this is out there. Another different model. This is something unique, Southwest Airlines. So Indigo and other low-cost airline, they follow this business model of Southwest Airlines. Now, this is something unique. All over the world, Southwest Airlines came out with some kind of innovative, unique business model. Now, when you talk about airline business, basically it is a service business. It is a service sector. You are into service business. So, when Southwest Airlines decided to start their company, what they said or what they decided, we are in the service businesses. Now, that was a period where if you look at all these airline companies, they are competing on what? They basically in the transportation business. So they provide all those transportation, but basically they are differentiating on the many services, more services, but the quality in terms of the number of services and so on. So they try to provide more and more services to differentiate their company. Southwest Airlines did exactly the opposite. Even though we are in the service business, airline business, what they say, we are not going to offer this services. Other companies, they are competing on the how many services they are. We are providing this services. Southwest Airlines is this services. Can you imagine? You are the service business, and here we don't want to offer this. And it was a huge success. And later on, this model was adopted by all over the world. Everybody was offering the model. So what they did, what is something unique about it? Because they were able to offer at the low cost. The cost of operation was the minimum. They were able to similar services almost at price. Now it is not as simple as that. I'll just give you, we'll take few minutes just to explain, because that will ultimately give you the business model. Because that ultimately helps to decide what kind of activities, how you are going to do this. Southwest Airlines decided, say we are not going to offer agent. So there is no intermediaries. If you want to buy our ticket, come to airport, buy the ticket and board the plane. Will not offer all these food services. Snacks, drinks will not be offered. Will not offer pick-up and drop facilities. Right. Another unique thing that it was the rest of the companies were operating in a what is known as hub and spoke model. Say for example, what do we mean by hub and spoke? Like, see, if I want to go to Leh, Ladakh from Surat, So there is no direct flight. There are very limited number of flights from Surat. So what I am required to do? I will go from Surat to Delhi, and from Delhi there is a flight. So Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, in this kind of model. So what they were doing, they were offering connecting flights. Right. That is one thing. So we will have to adjust all those timing. Even the South Airlines says will not offer connecting flights. Will not offer automatic luggage transfer. As I told you, if I want to go from Surat to Leh, my luggage will be automatically transferred to Leh flight and Delhi. Right. So I will drop my luggage here Surat and I will pick up my luggage from Leh only. Even though in Delhi I have to change the flight. That will be done by the company. Southwest side say we will not do this kind of thing. Instead of which we will offer point-to-point connectivity, direct. From Surat to Bhavnagar or Surat to Indore or Surat to Kolkata kind of thing. There is no connectivity. So they offer. What is the biggest advantage? Because they were saving a lot of time. Because the duration was only 1 hour, half hour, 2 hours, they don't require, you can say, meal or snacks or that kind of thing. The biggest advantage of not offering meal and services, you can just imagine, if the other company which offer all those services, what they require? They require to load all those materials on the plane. They require extra to keep all those materials. લંચ માટે ડિનર માટે જે કંઈ ફૂડ હોય એ બધી વસ્તુ તમારે લોડ કરવા માટે you need extra time, you need extra space. Because Southwest Airlines does not offer this, what they are doing, they are able to save time. Not only saving in time, but also they have extra space so that they are able to accommodate more seats. So thereby able to reduce the cost of operations. So for each flight they are able to save few minutes. What is the advantage? At the end of the day, the South Airlines has enough time for one more route. Because in each route maybe they are able to save 10-15 minutes, 10-15 minutes. At the end of the day they have more than 2.5 hours or 2 hours, and thereby they can use the same plane for some other route. So their utilization was higher compared to the rest of the players. So these are some of the examples where they were able to reduce the cost of operations. Another important thing is decided what? Instead of using different planes, they use single plane, same plane, similar, same model. What happened the rest of the companies? They have different companies, Airbus or the Boeing or the different versions. So for that they require technical team, or you can just is different. Maintenance, everything model. So they were able to manage the same team, same maintenance, etc. and thereby reducing the cost. So that is how they are able to reduce the overall cost of operations, and they were able to offer it to the lower cost. So you would be surprised to know because of the COVID, not COVID, before 2011, 9/11. So most of the companies were, because of this kind of incident, most of the companies had lost during that period. The Southwest Airlines was the only company in the world it posted profit even in that year. These exceptions, never incurred loss, continuously profit करे છે. There are many companies that try to model. See, another important thing is when you talk about business model, that will give some kind of advantage over the competitors. But that will for limited period. That will not serve. Because today you carry out this kind of activities, so looking at your success, your competitor will also try to copy you, imitate you, because they also want to survive and sustain. They will try to copy your model or activities, then again you don't have that kind of advantage over competitors. In a different way, in a such a way that competitors try to copy it, imitate it, succeed. There are a number of reasons, but this is what is known as another important aspect of business model. Why do you need this kind of model which will give you sustainability over a period of time? Otherwise it is of no use. So this is how you identify your different activities. So because say I give you a simple example. You want to improve your productivity and efficiency. So what do? You bring in new technology by investing 30 lakh, 40 lakh of rupees. So you improve your productivity efficiency and you are able to offer better products, services to your customer. The competitor will do also the same thing. The competitor will also do similar technology, by investing 30-40 lakh of rupees. Now after some time again you are at par, you don't have advantage over your competitors. So it's of no use because you already invested money and you are not even able to recover those additional investment. So sustainability is what you always keep ahead of your competitors. So that not only you are able to recover your initial investment, but also you will be able to sustain it or enjoy that kind of advantage over a reasonable period of time. So South Airlines are enjoying that kind of advantage over a period of 2 years. So that's the purpose of business model. Otherwise anybody can do it, copy it tomorrow. So it's of no use. So another important thing is not only identifying and performing activities will give you advantage over your competitors, but also gives you that kind of sustainability over a period of time. So similarly, there is another example, Foxconn. Apple, I think everybody is aware what Apple does. Apple does not have its own manufacturing facility. Do you know? Apple manufactures smartphones and others, but does not have its own manufacturing facility. Apple only invests in terms of R&D, research and development, design and development of new products, etc. What does it do? Here is the Foxconn. Foxconn is Taiwan-based company, which is known as contract manufacturer. This is one of the largest contract manufacturer, electronics manufacturer company in the world. So the Foxconn manufactures Apple iPhone or other products for Apple. So Foxconn has created that kind of, you can say, the facility. So this is how they manufacture. Not only Apple, the Foxconn is also a contract manufacturer for Samsung and other companies. So Apple only design and develop the product, and the manufacturing is done by the third party, that is Foxconn, and there are other players also. Similarly, other companies also, Samsung also. So Foxconn is a contract manufacturer. It manufactures for others. So this is a different model. It does not sell. It does not invest in terms of research and development. Right. Okay. There is another model when you talk about airline companies. If you take an example of Indigo, you might have read in the newspaper recently only. The Indigo has placed order of, you can say, 500 Airbus recently only. Right. Nava plane kharidwa. Okay. But what happens in the airline industry? The most of the companies, airline companies, they do not own the planes, majority planes. What they do? They take it on the lease. Because if you want to buy a plane, maybe you require, you can say, hundreds of crores of rupees. So you require huge investment. Right? So the most of the company, they don't purchase the plane, but whether they go for lease. So Avalon is one of these kind of leasing companies from whom the Indigo get the plane. So what Indigo does, it does not own that particular plane. And here Avalon provide different options. There are two options, one which is known as wet lease and dry lease. Now what does it mean wet lease? So the company does not provide the plane, but it also provides the crew members, the pilot and the crew members, so entire team, you will have to just operate it. So this is a different model as an airline company. So not necessarily that you require thousands of crores of rupees to start your own airline company. Even if you have 400 crore of rupees, you can start your airline company, because you don't have to purchase the plane, buy the plane. So everything, maybe you can lease, you get it leased. So even the crew member or the pilot will be available, provided by these companies. So majority of airline companies work on that model, wet lease or dry lease kind of thing. So these are some of the examples. This is, yes. Shema? DMart Masu? No, depends. બધી જ બ્રાન્ડની મળે એવું જરૂરી નથી. Pardon? હા, એવું જરૂરી નથી. See, I'll give you one example, rough idea. If you talk about DMart or Direction or any superstore, okay. Do you know at any point of time how many items are there in DMart or in the superstore? Number of items in terms of grocery, in terms of sports, in terms of stationery and so on. Any rough idea? Any number? 1,000? No. Even if you talk about Direction at Target, on an average their stock keeping units, technically it is known as stock keeping unit, they have more than 30,000-35,000 different items. So not necessarily, it depends on their, even in some of the DMart what happens, if you visit DMart, maybe you will get their own packaging. So in many cases what they do, say for example grains, they buy it in bulk and they prepare their own package in terms of 250 grams or the 500 grams or the 1 kg, right, in all those things. So this is how they are able to offer the lower cost. So not necessarily they have the different brands or all the brands, because it is too difficult, because on an average you maintain 30,000, 40,000 stock keeping units. On the other hand, if you take an example of Amazon, do you have any idea how many items are available in Amazon? Any idea? Millions of items. What Amazon says, more than 90% of whatever available on the earth will be available on Amazon. So right from your pin to even the airplane, it is available on Amazon. So this is the kind of business they are operating in. This is the kind of model they operate. So these are some of the examples. This is just to give you some idea. Okay. Finally, there are business model canvas. So basically it's a template. So whatever I have talked about the business or the business model, here you just trying to prepare your business plan. So yes. The operating cycle is less.
Like they pay in 7 days, they pay period very good. That's why they able to serve them every product at lower price.
Right.
And sir, I want to like I have two questions for you. I have just made right now. Like I want to ask that if business model is made for profitability of business, then why many PSU failing to comply with it? They are providing low cost service to public, and by private sectors are failing. Like if you take example of India Post and India IS.
Okay, I will come to that point. See, as I told you initially also, when we talk about PSU, which are owned by either state government or the central government, isn't it? So why PSU are making huge losses? That was your question. Okay. Check time. Okay. I will tell you, see, the basic purpose of PSU is what? Let us go back to 1947. So when we got independence, what was the situation in India? We had around 35 crore of population. We did not have that kind of basic industries. The biggest challenge the country was facing was what? To provide product and services to the citizen of India, to provide the employability, to provide the foods. But we did not have that kind of basic industries, and that was the period where there were no, you can say, private sector which we did not have that kind of, you can say, setup which manufactures products and services or to provide shelter kind of thing or the clothes to the citizen of people. So at that point of time, Government of India set up a public sector undertakings with three objectives: to provide product and services to the citizen of India, to provide employment generation, and the third thing is to create an industry base. So the objective of PSU was not the profit motive. That was not the objective of making profit. It was basically to provide and generate employment opportunities, to provide employment so that people can get the money. The objective is to provide product and services so that they can survive. And the third thing was to create a base for the other industry to come up. To the iron and steel industries or the coal industries or the steel industries came up because that created the base for the other industries. So, and there are other number of reasons. So because of lack of time, we will not go into detail. But if you wish, we can discuss later on also.
We may arrange one interactive session with them.
There are a number of reasons when you talk about PSUs and the public sector and the private sector.
If you take example of LIC, it was a profitable company and IIC was. Then why after 2016 it became loss-making company?
So, as I told you, there are a number of reasons. There is not only one reason. So there are economic reasons, and top of it there are political reasons. So we'll discuss also there are a number of reasons. So I cannot answer only Okay. So basically all the startup they are just copying and following something. But in the most of the cases, see as you mentioned, now in some of the cases, the success rate is only 2% in some of the cases, not even the 5%. The major reason and all those things, all these startups are technology based startups. And in many cases, and there are number of, not only in terms of startups, even the number of bases, the small scale units, the success rate is only 7 to 8%. Hardly after 3 years, only 5 to 7% are able to survive and sustain. The one of the biggest reason is what? The choice of wrong idea. Without carrying out the homework or other analysis, they just pick up those ideas and jump into business. And in most of the cases, this is one of the major reasons. There is not the only reason, but the choice of the wrong idea is one of the major reasons. The another thing is when you talk about all this technology startup, the failure rate is maximum in case of those who are having technology based startup, because by the time they come up, there is a change in technology, because the technology obsolete rate is very fast and they are not able to cope up with the change of this pace, the rate at which the technology is changing, and that is also one of the biggest, one of the major reasons. Okay. So just to wind up, the basically business model canvas is only the summary what we have already discussed in terms of the who would be your customers, in terms of, so these are the various building blocks we talk about: customer segment, value proposition I talked about, the revenue stream, how you are going to generate the revenue, which kind of channel that you are going to use, whether you are going to use technical distribution channel, you will want to set up for your own direct to customer, or maybe there are many companies nowadays, they use what is known as hybrid models, distribution channel also, and they are also having direct channel. So these are the 9 elements you have identified. So there are, as I told you, in terms of stakeholders, maybe your suppliers, vendors, customers, financial institutions, banks, etc. So I will give you this photocopy and this the copies of so there is no duplicate. I will leave it here. So what are the various activities they are going to do? Another important thing, what are the key resources you have? Resources in terms of maybe you have some kind of human resources, you have technology in terms of IPR, patent, etc. In terms of financial resources, in terms of other resources, kind of thing. So that you can have. Value proposition, as I told you, you will have to identify what you are going to offer to your customer. How differently, something unique, something different you are going to offer to the customer. Right. Customer relationship, I told you, in terms of the channels, how you are going to not only that approach the customer, but what are the, you can say, the schemes or the policies for retaining customer or creating your customers, etc. Customer segment, as I told you, will have to identify very specific which segment they are going to target. If there is a mismatch, maybe products or the services they fail if there is a mismatch or between product and service. Channel, as I told you, the cost structure maybe in terms of your technology, investment, the raw materials, etc. And as I told you, revenue stream, how you are going to generate your revenue, which model you are going to use, right? Whether it is freemium model or maybe on the subscription based, or maybe in terms of, as I told you, in terms of the lease kind of thing. So you have different options. Now you will have to decide how you are going to generate the revenue, on what way, right? So because of the, you can say, I have already overshoot. So these are an example of textile, the automobile industry, and this is one example of biotech company. Maybe that ultimately help you to give you how you can prepare those kind of, you can say, business model, how you can decide. Okay. So I think I'll stop here. Thank you, and I am extremely sorry for extending my time limit.